Shalom, family. Good to see everyone here. Hope you're doing well. Well, today is the final day to get 45% off of your Chebe butter. And this Chebe growth butter is going fast. So get your orders in. These will be going out on time. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, the shipping price has been reduced. If you order more than $35 worth of merchandise, the shipping is free. So, hey, grab it up while you can. Grab it up while you can. And my next product probably will be coming out like around Labor Day. I have goat milk shampoo and goat milk leave in conditioner. So I will definitely let you know when that is out. So let's get that off the screen. Cyberdyne 100, thank you so much for the super chat. Shalom, Lisa, and chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. Shalom to you too. So, y'all, we're going to talk about data centers again, but this time is a little different. There are people volunteer, that are letting these companies set up a data center at their house. Now, if you allow them to do this, you get $22,000 a year. They will pay your electric bill and pay your internet bill for you every month. That's what they're going to do. And you get 22,000, and the only thing you got to give up is $150 a month. There are people taking advantage of this. Now, I was listening to a person probably about a week ago that got this, and they said ever since it's been installed, they notice all of their appliances feel hot. And I said, yeah, because they probably won't last very long. I don't think that was a good move. But being that many Americans are now strapped for cash, they're struggling to, pay bills and struggling to put food on the table. So for some Americans, it probably will sound appealing. And they're not going to take their eye off the fact that they can get $22,000 for allowing them to set up a data center at their house. Yeah, unfortunately, many of them will probably take the offer. I wouldn't, but there are many that would. So let's get into this. Okay, let me just get this all set up. Okay. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Now, this first guy is from Arizona, and he let them set up a data center at his house. And you'll see he's going to show you the whole setup and everything that they came and installed in his house. And you can look at this dude. He don't have that much money, y'all. I'm just saying, I can look at him and tell. And that's probably why he did it. He needed the money. There's going to be a lot of people that look like him that will be more than happy to do this for the money. Thank you for the ones.
So yeah, I'm the first one to have a mini data center in my house. They're paying me monthly to house this data center. Pretty sweet. So if you can't beat them, work with them, I guess. So, anyways, this data center went in a couple days ago, and it's producing all of your Google results in the 100 square mile from this location. So if you were to type in, hey Google, what's the weather like tomorrow? I could modify this system to say, don't worry about it. It's going to be 500 degrees. You won't make it out alive. That's the kind of thing that this is producing. So they're paying me money to have this here. Information's coming in, and I'm able to send the information out. Pretty wild. And if you want one of these in your house, let me know. They'll pay you to put one in. So, yeah, I'm the first one to have a mini data center in my house. They're paying me monthly to house this data center. Pretty sweet. So, if you can't beat them, work with them, I guess. So, anyways, this data center went in a couple days ago, and it's producing all of your Google results in the 100 square mile from this location. So if you were to type in, hey Google, what's the weather like tomorrow? I could modify this system to say, don't worry about it. It's going to be 500 degrees. You won't make it out alive. That's the kind of thing that this is producing. So they're paying me money to have this here. Information's coming in, and I'm able to send the information out. Pretty wild. And if you want one of these in your house, let me know. They'll pay you to put one in.
Nvidia will now pay you $22,000 a year to host an AI data center at your house. They partnered with a startup called Span, which builds this box above that looks like an AC unit. But inside this box are 16 Nvidia Blackwell GPUs and Dell servers. And these can either sit here in the lawn or even bolt onto the side of your house. And these units tap your unused electricity capacity to be used for AI compute. And in exchange, you get free electricity, free internet, and node share payments that can be worth up to $22,000 a year. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd put at your house, and follow me for more AI news and tools.
To us, it's theft. It's literally a billion-dollar company stealing land from smaller people. And to say that you're doing it in the name of data centers is a slap in the face to us.
This family was forced to sell their home to help power AI data centers. Ainsley Brown's family was forced to sell her childhood home to utility company Georgia Power. If they hadn't, the company would have taken it from them via eminent domain. This is because Georgia Power is building a transmission line to help power new data centers in the area. This requires adding over 300 parcels of land. And this isn't the only family whose property is being taken by Georgia Power. Claudia Moore and her husband will lose the woods behind their house. Cynthia Van Epps is losing her backyard pool. And then there are the countless others that have lost their entire homes. Georgia Power is refusing to share what companies are behind the new data centers to protect their safety. What's happening in Georgia follows a nationwide trend of companies taking people's land in order to support data centers. Most recently, a woman in Virginia is fighting against a power pole taller than the Statue of Liberty being forced onto her property. AI data centers have caused our electric bills to skyrocket, they've stolen our water, and now they're taking our homes. Life necessities are being taken from us to power these things. And for what?
Bro, they do not want me making this video. I've literally been shut out of TikTok several times. Nvidia is paying people $22,000 a year to host an AI data center in your house. However, they don't know what's going to happen to you. That's why it is so much money. But also, we do not know the risks about this. But I know a lot of people are financially struggling. Hence, we have a problem. Now there is a solution to get money by building a data center in your house. However, I do not want to, I don't know. I'm just nervous. What do you guys think about this?
So I'm not sure if anyone else has heard about this, but apparently Nvidia is teaming up with Span, I think it's called. It's some development company. And what they want to do is, instead of having big data centers, they want to attach a little piece of the data center to your house. I'm not kidding. Basically, they want to put like a small unit, and by small, I mean about like the size of like 2 or 3 air conditioners, on the side of your house, filled with all their equipment, to make your house a small data center. And how I saw this pitched was, we'll give you $22,000 to do this. And I'm sitting here like, or $22,000 a year to be specific. I'm like, oh, interesting. Well, the hell world's already going to crap. And this might be slightly better than building giant data centers. And I started looking into it. Yeah, here's the problem. The $22,000 is to cover the electrical usage of this thing that they want to put on your property. It's not like, hey, we'll pay for everything and then give you $22,000 for the inconvenience of having this crap on your property. No. It's to cover the electrical cost. Also, apparently you are responsible for any damage incurred by having this data center put on your property. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. So you allow them to create noise pollution right next to your place. I assume this is going to have to tap into your water main so it can be cooled. It uses your electricity, and they're giving you enough money to cover its operational costs. Oh, and I almost forgot. They're going to put a giant electrical battery, somewhere on your property, probably your garage, so that if there's excess electricity from the solar panels that they're also going to install in your place, that it gets first priority on, that it has that as storage for its power usage. Every part of this stinks. Like, I was really hoping this would be like, oh, well, okay, if they're going to make this so I'm getting an extra $22,000 a year, I mean, that would help with home repairs and home maintenance. It would be one of those things of maybe there's a way that they're going to, reduce the noise that comes out of this thing, reduce the water usage, reduce the power requirements, all that. No, not even close. This is we're going to do this. You're going to put up with it. Here's $22,000 to maybe cover the cost. And here's the thing. Again, as I said, you're responsible for the damages. So if somebody in your neighborhood sees this thing and goes, well, there's graphics processing units in there, man. Those are big, big money. And they break into your system to steal your stuff, you're on the hook for it. Yeah, that's not going to be cheap. Even if some drug addict comes in there just to steal the copper out of the damn thing, the amount that you're on the hook for is insane. There's no point of this. Do not go for this. This is not worth it. And I would assume that at that point, it's a case of you will never be able to take a vacation ever again because you're on guard duty now. And they're not going to pay for the guard dog that you're going to have to buy to protect this damn thing. You see how this escalates and escalates quickly? Don't put AI data centers on your property.
We're so interested in this topic. First of all, if you can explain to me what these data centers, space data centers are, how are they different than the ones back here on Earth?
Well, so a space data center really isn't comparable to something that you would see on Earth. Whereas on Earth, you're seeing data centers that are these large warehouse-size objects. A space data center is really just a small box that's in orbit that contains a couple of computing units. And so that's why, like in the image that you're showing there, you're seeing rows and rows and rows and rows of computers. We're talking about, imagine each one of those rows being its own little box that's flying around the Earth at a rate of once every 90 minutes or so.
What kind of power and resources do they need?
So they would need to generate their own power. So that's why when you're talking about a data center in orbit, they would need to have very large solar panels, and they would also need to have extremely large radiators. So even though the box itself is pretty small, the actual object is about the same size as the International Space Station, about 70% of that size.
Wow. So there is a new petition. It claims these space data centers would release staggering levels of pollution that could alter the Earth's atmosphere. Again, it could be catastrophic for our planet. Explain why to me.
So basically, when you're re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, as a satellite comes down, most of the time the expectation is that they're going to burn up in orbit. And so when something burns up in orbit, all of that matter is not actually destroyed. It ends up entering the Earth's stratosphere. And the thing is that you have to remember that the atmosphere at that level is very thin, and that's also where the ozone layer is located. Now, the aluminum that is in the data centers poses a risk to the ozone layer. And basically, there was a study that was done early last year by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Chemical Sciences Laboratory that suggested that the amount of aluminum entering the atmosphere based on projections before these data center projections, or the permission to launch millions of these things went out, based on the expectation that there would be 60,000 by 2040. That was forecast to be enough to change the Earth's winds, as well as potentially have impacts on the ozone.
Y'all, it's bad enough they're putting these data centers in every state by the hundreds. But now you're telling us it's going to be at people's houses and they're getting ready to launch them into outer space. So I guess y'all just hell bent on destroying everything, the atmosphere, the universe, the earth. You're just not going to be satisfied until it's all destroyed. Unbelievable. I just don't. I just can't believe this. What the hell is going on? These people have lost their minds. Oh man. No, having that at my house, no. $22,000 to have that at my house. And, not to mention the fact when I was listening, it seems like it's kind of noisy too. So you got to keep it on 24/7 and hear that noise throughout your house. I would never like that. I could hear the noise that it was emitting. But like I said, that guy looked like he was broke to me anyway. That's probably why he did it, because he didn't have any money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's no telling what it's going to do when they launch hundreds of them up into space, because they're going to have probably even well over 1,000 of them up there. They're going to launch as many of them as they can. What is that going to do for the universe? Hopefully the Most High will slap every last one of them back down to earth. Seriously. What about natural disasters? What if you live in a neighborhood that gets flooded, or a neighborhood that, there's a wildfire in your neighborhood? What about natural disasters? Is that your fault? Do they charge you for that? Man, yeah, this whole thing is crazy. I told y'all about 2 months ago, I think 2 or 3 months ago, Elon Musk want to have them floating above Earth, just floating, not in outer space, where we just look up and see these objects just floating, and those are data centers. That's what he wants. He wants them to float, up in the air, and just stay elevated up in the air. I think that's dangerous. So what if it falls back to earth and it ends up in somebody's backyard, or fall on top of somebody's house? Because they want these data centers around where people live. So I would imagine if they got to float up in the air, it's probably going to be near where people live. So no, I don't want them near me. I don't want them floating up above me. I don't want none of them around me. None of them can. You know how many explosions I have seen with them attempting to launch satellites up into space, and the whole thing ends up exploding. The rocket, the satellite, everything. Sometimes, just like we saw with Blue Origin, maybe about a month or two ago, where it exploded on the launch pad, and it was a massive explosion. Yeah, well, I don't know why these rich people don't want to float this shit around where they live. I promise you, y'all, in these in these neighborhoods where they got multi-million dollar mansions, trust me, it ain't nary data center in anywhere near them. And they gonna keep it that way too. But they'll inconvenience the rest of us and put them near wherever we are. Mm, mm, mm. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to talk about nearly half of the households in America are struggling to make ends meet. It's probably more people now than ever before, historically, that have been struggling financially. And it's just going to continue to get worse in this country. And you can see it, it's a lot of people saying they can't find work, they don't have any money, they're working, and they always are still struggling to pay their bills, or if they buy groceries, they can't pay their rent. So this is becoming more commonplace. But hey, when our people would struggle, these folks would tell us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. And work harder, right? And even their young people are telling them that's not the answer. And they're right. There's never been the answer. But it is what it is. Now, people are now looking at you funny when you say you and your husband and y'all got 100,000. Nobody can make it. Well, you never said anything when it was us. Now we're not going to say nothing now that it's you. So I will see you at 5:45. And y'all, don't forget, this is the final day of the Chebe growth butter. So grab it while you can at 45%. Shalom, family.